The 1960s saw a revolution and explosion that was musical, artistic, political, sociological, sexual. There were so many changes during that turbulent decade which brought about change not only in the Western Hemisphere, but would evidently influence the rest of the world. It was a movement that began with folk music of the early 1960s and culminated with the youth taking over Woodstock in 1969. The 1960s are a decade we'll never forget. There hasn't been much that's evolved from the documentaries that have been made of the 1960s since they started making them in the early 1970s. They basically recycle the same information, and a lot of it is inaccurate, and a lot of it doesn't get to the heart of the matter. This is what you're going to get in this course. You're going to find out the real deal behind the 1960s. I was born at the tail end of the decade, so I throughout my life had a chance to speak to so many people who were part of that decade. Celebrities and just your regular people that were living the decade. Bob Dylan said, if you remember the 1960s, you weren't really there. So this is something that I think the highlight of this course is finding out what really happened during that era rather than the same sort of recycled documentaries you see on public television all the time. You're going to get the real deal in this course. Bring your mama, bring your daddy, bring your kids, no matter what age you are, no matter what your background is. I'm going to show you how what you are listening to today, what you're into today, how it has a direct connection back to the 1960s and how the impact of that turbulent decade still has on all the subsequent decades and still does today. If you're a 10-year-old and you're into Justin Bieber or One Direction, I'm going to show you how they were influenced by the 1960s, consciously or subconsciously.